Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Martyr Music Channel. I'm your host, Nick Martyr, and today is a special episode, seeing how it is the first episode in the series of my top 50 albums. So, let's get right into it. Today's album was released all the way back in 2005 through Decadence Records, and is, of course, Panic at the Disco's debut album, A Fever That You Can't Sweat Out. Coming at you with 13 tracks and 39 minutes and 48 seconds of runtime, this album really gives you a good variety of electronic EDM type music, pop music, punk, post-punk, and a little bit of everything in between. And the very first track on this album is Introduction, which is pretty much radio static with clips of the other songs throughout the whole album. And I don't know about you, but I really like it when bands do this, where there is a clear-cut introduction, as you can tell by the title. Track number 2, the only difference between Martyrdom and Suicide is press coverage. Now, this is the first real song on the album. And as funny as it may seem, this kind of serves as a second introduction to both the album and the band. And you can see some foreshadowing through the classical guitar in the intro and the dance break as well, kind of in the middle of the track, both of which I really enjoy. And the lyrics themselves are catchy and have a bit of a deeper meaning about being an up-and-coming band. But all in all, it is a very powerful, dancing track, and it leads well into track number 3, London Beckons Songs About Money Written by Machines. Just a little side tangent, I really do enjoy the titles of the tracks, but I am looking forward to when I don't need to look up the Wikipedia page to actually tell you the names of the tracks. And this song is much more angsty and almost in a way juvenile. But that makes sense because Ryan Ross, the brains behind the first two albums, was only 19 when this was recorded and released. But either way, this is still a very great and powerful track, and I also really love the bridge that's in it, where it kind of goes into that almost a waltzy time, and in that very jazzy, almost cabaret style of music that is featured in the second half of the album. And track number 4 is Nails for Breakfast, Tax for Snacks, and I think that's my favorite track title, and I can't help but laugh every time I read it. But this track is definitely the most electronic and EDM inspired song. Even Brendan Urie uses autotune on his voice in this track. And while I'm not usually a fan of autotune, the way that they do it and the way it's there for a very distinct effect on his voice, I think it works well, and I really enjoy the use of it. The chorus and pre-chorus are all very catchy as well. I could probably sing it to myself all day. And honestly, it just feels like a 2000s nightclub in a way. Track number 5 is Kamisato. This is probably my favorite song of the first half. It's definitely the most heart-wrenching and has what I think is some of the best hooks in the chorus as well. It kind of reminds me of like mental institution core. That's something TikTok would probably come up with if they heard this song today. This doesn't sound great as well, and I love the intro and outro being the same and kind of working as bookends to set up this very dramatic affair. Track number 6 is Time to Dance. Now, this is definitely the most angsty of the tracks. It's very driving, very powerful. You can definitely tell Ryan Ross was having a bit of a day when he wrote this. But the chorus, I just love the chorus so much. And there's even a bit of a funny story between me and that. A friend of mine and I were going camping one time. And of course, we were listening to music on the way to the campsite. And what happened was he just started singing this song, Kamisato. He used to going, boys will be boys, baby. And I just started singing along with him because, of course, I love this song and I love this album. And he was like, "What? You like Panic at the Disco?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, dude. I was emo all throughout middle school and pretty much all throughout high school." He was like, "No way, me too." And so we've been close friends for years now, and never really knew about that because we both met in college. You probably don't care, but it's my channel, so I'm going to tell that story. And track number 7 is Lying is the most fun a girl can have without taking off her clothes. This is definitely a song written by a teenager. This is very saucy, very goony. Uh, I don't like listening to this song, to be honest. It makes me a bit uncomfortable. It's probably just because I'm a prude. I'm okay with that. It is kind of funny, though, because, well, I'll just put up the picture that I think of every time I do listen to this song. I also won't lie to you, I do love the chorus and just how catchy it is. But the verses and just how saucy it is, it's just not for me, to be honest. And track number 8 is Intermission, which serves as a good barrier between the electronic section of the album and the more jazzy section of the album. I like that it's this electronic dance break that gets interrupted and then turns into a kind of more waltzy dance break as well. And then with that, you get this swelling tension of violins. And this tension hard cuts into track number 9, but it's better if you do. And this is the first track on the second section of the album, so it's definitely much more classical, jazzy, cabaret. Definitely feels like you're in like 1920s, 30s France from here on out. And like every track on this album, it's catchy, it reels you in, and you stay there and get to enjoy it for its whole runtime. One section I'm particularly fond of is the ending and the transition segment, where you have the staccato of the strings, and it goes from 3/4 to 4/4, and it's pretty much a seamless transition into track 10, I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. Now, this track, everybody knows. Everybody and their grandma knows this track. It's definitely their most popular. I think it has over 1 billion plays on Spotify. So I don't think I need to talk too much about it. This was also my first introduction to Panic at the Disco way back when I was 14. I really enjoy the softer verses, the harder choruses, and then the middle and end section that is just kind of vibey. And this song really was just meant for radio play, in my opinion. Minus the one word you have to censor out a few times. Everything about this song is just perfect for it. You have such a catchy chorus, you have the introduction that makes you want to kind of just stay and see what happens. The verses are great, the rest of the choruses are great, and of course, I love the vibey section. It really is just such a great standout single, and I can see why it is their most played song on Spotify. And track number 11 is Every Day I Thank God for Esteban, who, if you don't know, is the character from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I'm lying, I don't know. I really love the classical guitar in the introduction. I also really love the religious imagery. As a religious man myself, I find great enjoyment when there is a lot of use of religious items and religious context without it being so terribly blasphemous. And Ryan Ross does a great job of incorporating religious themes and imagery without really alienating the wider Christian audience. Lastly, about this track, I love the solo at the end, and it's probably my favorite solo out of the whole album. And next up is track number 12. There's a good reason these tables are numbered, honey. You just haven't thought of it yet. Again with the essay titles. But this is definitely my favorite track of the second section of the album. It's just so jazzy. It's definitely the most 30s, 40s inspired, in my opinion. And I'm going to take a note from the Cozy Representatives video about this album and point out how many songs use the word surreptitious, especially in the hook of the chorus. Good on you, Ryan Ross, for figuring out how to do that. And ending this album with track number 13 is Build God, Then We'll Talk. This song has such great storytelling of infidelity and the consequences of it. But no matter what, though, this is a great track. It has so many great different sections, and it's such a terrific send off as well. I definitely have to say I love the hooky chorus. Of course, every song on this album has such a great hooky chorus, but my favorite part is definitely the dreamy section before the final chorus. There's just something about that middling part where I feel like I'm in a trance in a way. And then with the cello that comes in into the final chorus, it is perfect in my opinion. And now let's talk about the singles and music videos. So in order, we have London, which of course is the very goony, saucy song. And the music video for it is kind of just weird in my opinion. People have like aquariums around their heads, and you die if you don't have the aquarium. The woman finds, I'm guessing, her boyfriend or husband dead on the street because his aquarium broke. Then she faints or purposely falls to have her aquarium break. And then they're sent to the ocean so that way they can live. I don't know. Next up is It's Better If You Do, which is the most blatantly 30s looking music video. They're in a cabaret. It's definitely 1930s speakeasy vibes. And it's honestly just such a whole vibe. I love this song, and the sleazy club really makes the song stand out even more, in my opinion. The next one, of course, is I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. Like the song, what can I say that has not been said and is not just immediately known? The next and last is Build God, and Then We'll Talk. Kind of like I Write Sins and Not Tragedies, I feel like there's no real introduction or way to explain this that has not been seen before. Porno mime? I don't know. Very weird. Kind of freaked me out a little bit when I first saw it at like 14. I was a good Christian kid. That's it, really. So what does this album mean to me? When I first went through my emo phase, it was mostly just My Chemical Romance I listened to. And don't worry, we'll get to them sooner or later. I did listen to some of Panic at the Disco's music, mostly via their music videos. So the music videos off this album and then later albums all kind of helped shape my taste a little bit when I was going through my emo phase initially. But of course, I fell out of it. I'm no longer in my emo phase, quote unquote. But that doesn't mean the music hasn't stayed. And I even went through, almost in a way, a secondary emo phase back when I was 21, 22 years old. Not sure what happened, but I started listening to My Chem a lot more. I think it's probably because the reunion tour started. And I was like, well, I listened to My Chem all the time when I was 14. But I'd never listened to Panic at the Disco or Fall Out Boy besides the music videos. And so I finally gave this album a try, and I fell in love immediately. I'm kind of beating myself up that I didn't listen to this when I was 14. But this is still a very important album for me because it helped shape my musical experience and help me with my musical skills as well. I love Ryan Ross. I think he is a genius. And now I try to emulate him and some of his ways of writing music. In a way, he's kind of part of my greater composers list as well. So, of course, you have, Lennon, McCartney from the Beatles, Max Clark from Cutworms, and Ryan Ross from Panic at the Disco up in there, along with other artists. And that is entry number 50 on my top 50 albums. If you like this video, please show your support by liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. And if you don't like this video, please feel free to leave me a comment of what you disagree with. I'd be happy to hear your opinions and some constructive criticisms as well. I've been your host, Nick Martyr, and you've been watching the Martyr Music Channel.